So if you are a woman running a business, chances are you are probably carrying more than you ever intended to. Not just the business, but the thinking, all the decision making, all of the emotional weight, and constant being on. Here's what I have noticed, both in my own life and with the women that I work with. Most of us aren't struggling because we don't know what we're doing or don't know how to run the business, right? Like something's wrong. Most of the time, the struggle comes because you're still operating your business instead of leading it. So let me normalize something really quick. Being in operator mode isn't a flaw. It's not anything that you're doing wrong. It's really how most businesses are built, because somebody's got to do the work, right? I stepped away from my full-time job and became a full-time business owner last year. And those early stages, right? It's really easy to get trapped into doing everything. So here is actually the problem that kind of sneaks up on you. The skills that you needed to help you to start your business, to help you to get it going, are not necessarily the same skills that's going to help you to scale that business. And one thing that I find, especially for women, I don't know where we picked this up at, but somewhere along the way, we have allowed ourselves to be labeled in our businesses as the reliable one. I don't even know what that means. I heard somebody say that recently. I think that's really another way of saying that I'm stuck in operator mode, because reliable means I'll handle it. I got it. I can do it faster. I can get it done better, faster, easier if I just do it myself. Once everything calms down, I can think, maybe I can hire. But here's the reality. Things don't calm down. They just get louder. So I know you hear me talk about CEO. Get into your CEO mindset. Begin to think like a CEO. Create a CEO model for your business. When I talk about CEO, I'm not talking about titles and org charts. I'm talking about how you think, how you decide, right? There's some real crazy misconceptions about being a CEO. And I've heard some really wild, perceptions that people have about what it means to be the CEO of your business. But being a CEO definitely does not mean that you're doing less because you don't care, or because you got all, this huge team that can just handle everything, right? That is definitely not the case. It's actually about doing less because you care about doing the right things, not everything. I've been guilty of this myself, of being one that tied my worth to how much I could carry. Oh, did that hit anyone else or just me? So here's where this whole concept got real for me, because I have had multiple businesses. My first business I started literally over 20 years ago. And I've had different businesses, some more successful than others, some not successful at all over the past 20 years. And when I decided to start my consulting business, I didn't want a business that competed with my life. I needed one that actually fit inside of it. Coming into 2026, I had to start asking myself different questions. What is the season that I'm leaving behind? One where I tied my identity to what I did, being this highly ambitious, executive and business owner and all of the things, right? I had to start asking some different questions. I had to say, what do I want my life to feel like? What do I want my energy for? What am I trying to protect? That's when I started transforming my core values into my life anchors, my faith, my family, my freedom, and my impact. And why did I switch from core values that I can hang on a wall to these life anchors? Because I needed them to ground me. I needed everything that I did to be in alignment with those anchors. Like I said before, because we so often find so much value in what we do, I needed to make sure that my life anchors grounded me to the point where my business didn't replace those things. It just helped to support them. So if any of you are watching this and you're like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I get your story, but you're sitting here thinking, okay, but where do I start? So start with naming your anchors. Start there. What are your 3 or 4 things that your life needs to support? And then I want you to look at your business, honestly. What parts of your business drain your anchors and which parts support them? And then I want you to make a CEO decision. You get to decide right off the bat. And I'm not looking for you to create a full plan, but just what's one decision that creates space? A couple of things that I did last year, just to give you an example. And then I'm going to tell you what I did coming into this year. Last year, I 100% committed to my CEO focus blocks. What is CEO blocks? That is where I turn off my phone completely. Do not disturb. I turn off the notifications on my computer. There is a setting that will allow you to do that. In fact, it's a setting on your computer where you can actually click to create focus time. And so I do that at least once a day, sometimes a couple of times a day, or sometimes I might have a couple of short blocks, focus blocks, or I may have a long focus block, depending on what I have to do. I've had some as long as like 2 and 3 hours, depending on the day, what I need to accomplish, if it's a project, if it's whatever it is. So setting your focus blocks. I stopped saying yes to everything. I know you guys have heard it. It's not new, but no is a complete sentence. Things that people might ask me to do. I'm not even talking about a client. It could be someone who very well intentioned, and maybe they saw where I could help with something, or maybe they thought that something would be good for my business. But I've said this, and you'll hear me say it probably a million other times this year. Everything that's good for your business may not be good for your life. And so my life anchors now allow me to see what's aligned or misaligned. So I stopped saying yes to misaligned work. And then prioritization. I've always worked on quarter basis. So I am a 12-week year. If you've not heard of the 12-week year, you should check it out. It's an amazing book and framework. I started working many, many years ago doing 12-week years. It's not the same as taking your year and breaking it down into quarterly plans. That is a part of it. But a 12-week year means that your year starts and ends. Just like a 12-month year, you do it in a 12-week year. And so what that allows me to do is stay laser focused in the execution for the outcome that I'm looking for in that particular 12 weeks. And the next 12 weeks resets it. As I came into this new year, I brought all of those things in that worked really well and that I've committed to. As I talked about my life anchors, that was a game changer for me because I had to identify the season that I was leaving. That was where everything I did was surrounded by my business. Some of my friends would be like, girl, you are a strategist at heart. We can't have a normal conversation because I literally can make anything strategy. I had to realize that my business is only a part. And remember, it supports my anchors. It doesn't replace any of them. And so I had to put it in its place. I had to put the business in its place. It has a place. I created this life mapping so that I could see my life in its holistic view, faith, family and relationships, my freedom that allows me to have joy and fun, right? To do some professional development. Excuse me, I did say professional development. See, everything is always around my business. It is not. That is there in its bucket. Personal development. Last year, I learned how to swim, and then I jumped off a cliff. Well, I would have done that if I had not given myself time to plan for joy and do some personal development that allowed me to do things I never thought I would do. Your CEO mode doesn't have to be big. You just have to be intentional, and you can start small because it compounds. Okay? Every piece that you do, it builds upon the other. Precept upon precept. My point about all of this is that you don't have to be less ambitious to be more balanced. I always say that as women entrepreneurs, especially highly ambitious women entrepreneurs, we can have it all without having to do it all. You just have to take the time to define your all. And so that is what this season of my work is all about. It is the impact part of my anchor. It is being able to help other women to build businesses that they love, that still honors their humanity, not erases it. So if this resonated, stay with me because this conversation is just getting started. Just know, my dear sister, that you do not need fixing. You just need room to lead.